All right, today we are diving deep into the science of motivation. You know that feeling, right? Where you're just waiting for that perfect wave of inspiration to hit before you finally start that big project, or your new workout plan, or really any goal you've been putting off. But what if I told you that waiting for that perfect moment is actually a myth?
Come on, we've all been there. You're staring at a blank page or your running shoes and you tell yourself, yeah, I'll get to it later, when I'm in the mood. It's like we're all waiting for this lightning bolt of motivation to strike us. But what if that's a completely backwards way of thinking about it?
I mean, look at this. If just waiting for motivation was the right strategy, you'd think more of us would actually succeed, wouldn't you? But in reality, almost half of us give up on our biggest goals pretty much right away. There's this huge gap between how we think motivation works and what the science actually tells us.
So, in this explainer, we're going to build a full, science-backed toolkit. We'll unpack something called the motivation paradox. We'll take a peek inside your brain's reward system, figure out how to build habits that actually stick, find that deeper why, and we'll learn how to keep this whole thing going for the long haul. Ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, first up is a core idea that might feel totally backwards at first, but trust me, it's the foundation for everything else. It's called the motivation paradox.
So our whole lives, we've kind of been taught that motivation has to come before you do anything. You know, you have to feel ready to take action. But the science shows us it's the exact opposite. Action is what creates motivation. It's a feedback loop. Just taking one tiny step generates the momentum and those good feelings that make you want to take the next.
This quote from Steven Pressfield just nails it. Motivation isn't some magical feeling that just appears. It's really that tipping point where the discomfort of not doing the thing becomes worse than the discomfort of just doing it. The secret isn't to wait for that moment, but to actually engineer it by making the first action so small and easy you can't help but start.
So, if action is the spark, what's the chemical reaction that's happening inside our brains? Well, to get that, we need to look at our internal reward system.
Now, everyone's heard of dopamine, but it gets a bad rap and it's often misunderstood. It's not just the pleasure chemical, it's really the wanting chemical. It's the engine that drives you to seek things out, things your brain thinks will be rewarding. It gets released not just when you succeed, but when you even take a step towards succeeding. This is the fuel for that action motivation loop we were just talking about. But, and this is a big but, here's the trap. Our world today is absolutely filled with things that give us a huge dopamine hit for almost zero effort. When your brain gets used to this super easy, cheap dopamine, the effort needed for a real, meaningful task like studying or working out suddenly seems way too high for the reward it's promising. It basically hijacks your whole motivation system. And you might be thinking, well, I'll just reward myself with something big when I'm done. But you got to be careful there. Research, like this one from MIT, shows that for complex or creative tasks, big external rewards can actually backfire. The pressure to get the reward becomes a distraction. Your focus shifts from the task itself to the prize at the end, and that can totally cripple your performance.
So how do we work with our brain instead of against it? Well, first, find the fun. Seriously, play is one of the most powerful motivators we have. So if you hate the treadmill, maybe a dance class is a better fit. Second, use micro rewards. When you finish a tough task, give yourself an immediate, healthy little reward, like enjoying a nice cup of tea. And finally, focus on the immediate feeling. The mood boost you get from a short walk right now is a way more powerful driver than some distant goal like losing weight.
This all brings us to the ultimate motivation hack, habits. Because the whole point of a habit is to get to a place where you don't even have to think about motivation or willpower anymore. You just do the thing, it's automatic.
A fantastic way to start is with the 2-minute rule. The idea is simple. Make the very beginning of any new habit take less than 2 minutes. You want to read more. Your goal isn't to read a chapter, it's to read just one page. Want to exercise? The goal is just to put on your workout clothes. You make the barrier to entry so ridiculously low that you just can't say no. And then you can build on that with a cool technique called habit stacking. The idea is to anchor your new, tiny habit onto one that's already wired into your brain. The cue for your new habit becomes the completion of an old one. It's like you're creating a chain reaction of good behaviors, one after the other.
And hey, remember to be patient with yourself. Forget that old myth about habits forming in 21 days. The actual scientific research shows the average is closer to 66 days, and honestly, it can be different for every single person and every habit. The key here isn't perfection, it's consistency. If you miss a day, it doesn't ruin everything. Just get back on track the next day.
Tiny habits are amazing for getting started. But for motivation that's going to last a lifetime, you need something more. You need to connect those daily actions to a deeper, more meaningful purpose. You need to find your why.
A really powerful way to do this is to shift your focus from outcome goals to process goals. An outcome goal, that's the finish line, right? And it can feel super far away and intimidating. A process goal, on the other hand, is the behavior you do today. It gives you immediate feedback and a little win, building that internal motivation you need to just keep going.
So, to find that inner drive, try this simple but really profound exercise. Start with a surface-level goal. Let's say, I want to get fit. Now, just ask yourself one simple question. Why?
Let's see how this plays out. Okay, why do you want to get fit? Maybe it's to have more energy? Okay, why does having more energy matter? So I can play with my kids. And why is that so important? Because being an active, present parent is one of my core values. And just like that, going to the gym isn't a chore anymore. It's an expression of who you want to be. Now that is some powerful, sustainable motivation.
All right, so you've taken action, you're building habits, you've found your why, but, life gets in the way. How do you keep the motivation going when you hit a plateau, or you face a setback, or you just feel bored?
The key is to stay in what's called the Goldilocks zone. See, we human beings feel most motivated when a task is not too easy, because that leads to boredom, and not too hard, because that just leads to discouragement. You want to be working right on the edge of your current abilities. The challenge is there, but it's manageable, and it requires your full focus.
And when you inevitably fall off track, because we all do, don't panic. You have to avoid the what the hell effect. That's when one little slip up makes you feel like the whole day is ruined, so you might as well just give up completely. Instead, practice some self-compassion. Remind yourself of your why, and remember that the discomfort of getting back on track is temporary, but the reward is lasting.
So, let's do a quick recap of your new motivation toolkit. First, remember that action creates motivation, not the other way around. Work with your brain, not against it. Build habits that are so small they're almost too easy to fail. Then, connect those habits to a purpose that really matters to you. And finally, always try to keep the challenge in that just right Goldilocks zone.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question. What is one tiny 2-minute action you can take today to move toward a goal that matters to you? It's not about waiting to feel motivated. It's about taking that first small step. So go on. What's yours going to be? Share it in the comments below.